We're probably stupid for thinking this and especially for saying it out loud, but our goal is to remodel this entire downstairs bathroom in less than a week for right around $1,000. Think we can do it?
We can do it.
All right, we can do it. So it completely broke off the toilet handle, so we'll have to wait on this. We got the vanity out. When taking a toilet out, it's always best to either shot vac out the water in there or put a sponge in there. And here's the water supply for the toilet, so I'm just deburring it and then sanding it a little bit to clean off all the gunk before I start attaching one of these pressure valves to it. It might actually be called a compression valve. Either way, it's a lot easier than soldering something on there. And then I still really don't trust the shark bite fittings quite enough to use it all over this house. Okay, and we are 3 for 3 for subfloor damage. That's fun. Alright, it is the morning of day 2. You can see I'm wearing the same clothes, but it's daylight outside, so you know it's the next day. Last night, it was pretty late when we started work, so we didn't get too much done, but we did get all the demo of, the vanity, the toilet, and most of the floors out here, which you saw the subfloor damage already. So next is demoing this tile, which I didn't want to do last night because even though we really don't have neighbors, it's super quiet on this mountain, so hammering away at this tile would just wake up all the deer or something, I don't know. But we're gonna get started on this, knock this out. Also, wallpaper problems, which wallpaper is always a problem, but we thought this was gonna be a little bit easier. It looked different than the other bathrooms, but it turns out it's just as brittle as ever. So, we're not behind though, we can do this. And Tessa's upstairs working a corporate job until 5 o'clock or so it's all me for a little bit. Got some fresh snow last night. The trick with breaking up this tile is to break it off into sections because you don't want to hammer off every single tile. And then I'll be able to take this top half off and this bottom half. Same on this wall, and then here maybe like 3 or 4 pieces. All of this came off really quick, and it kind of just reminds me back on the first master shower here where I was a little bit more hesitant to take off this tile, and I did have help. And they took care of that, but still, even the guest bathroom and previous bathrooms I've done in the past, it's always, I'm being a little bit careful with the tiles I'm taking off, and then by the time this third bathroom happened in this house, it was just going to town. Or when you have a tub that you're trying to take out and it's wall to wall, it's really hard to just get out as is. So you have to cut out the corners, and it just makes it much easier to actually flex this tub out from the walls. And I learned this from my brother-in-law and father-in-law. Let's cut it out. This has some water damage on it because I flipped on the water main without having the shower spout plugged in at one point. So water just spilled all over my tools, and hopefully this works. I spent a lot of time and effort trying to unscrew this tub drain, and it just would not budge. So I started spraying some WD-40. Started hammering it away to see if I can just break up any of the gunk that's holding this back. But the ultimate trick that worked was putting a flathead screwdriver through the holes here and then hitting it with a hammer to really just kind of break it apart. Okay, so here's what we're working with now that we've taken everything out of this bathroom. You can see it's pretty dingy over here. That's fine. Most of this is isolated to just the insulation, and this happens behind every bathtub I've uninstalled, demoed. Even if there's not really water damage, this just kind of happens, it seems like. And this is R11 anyways, and if you've been following along with this cabin flip, you know that R11 is not suitable for any house in really any climate in the US. So, especially in the mountains, like that's just ridiculous. Air just comes right through this. So I'm going to be swapping this out like I did every other room that we've taken down to the studs with some of this R15 like I've done on these 2 panels here by this window I've installed. I'm gonna pop in R15s. I've saved a couple of rolls just for this occasion because I knew they were gonna do this. The studs are actually pretty good except for this one here, but I'm not gonna take it out. I'm just gonna butt up a brand new stud right next to it. Maybe another one here in the middle just for that extra support. But it does look like we're gonna have to replace most of this subfloor, which sucks, but I've never taken this type off. This is like particle board. It's so weird. It disintegrates like sand. I don't know. We're about to go to Lowe's, drop off a lot of this demo stuff at the dump, pick up our tub, pick up this, pick up the subfloor. This is the surround. It still seems to be pretty structurally sound even though it looks terrible. Like it's not even chipping away or denting or anything. What is this, cardboard? The top layer was crumbling, but the bottom plywood was structurally sound, so I'll be keeping that. Now I'm just going to cut off a perfect section of this top layer of subfloor so that way I can lay down a perfectly cut piece of brand new subfloor on top of this. I'm going to repurpose this in a crawl space. Alright, all the insulation is taken out. Subfloor is ready to have a new subfloor laid upon it, but my spray gun came in, laid upon it. It's like old English. I got my spray gun in the mail, some off-brand, because Graco charges like $130 at the store. So this one came from China and it was just $30. So we'll try it out. Came in early today, but we need to paint these bedrooms over here. So we're gonna cut back to this bathroom. We're still planning on doing it in a week. Head over to my painting video so you can see where I'm off to right now. We'll be back on this bathroom here tomorrow. Yeah, and I changed my shirt because believe it or not, that red one is actually quite nice and I don't want to get paint on it. Although I got all these fiberglass fibers on it and stuff, but this one already has paint, so it's my painting shirt. Here's my painting pants. While in my painting clothes, I came back to the bathroom to put Kills mold primer on these studs to prevent future mold spread. I also put some of this on the subfloor because the subfloor was a little discolored as well. And I did all this after applying a light spraying of vinegar. And this right here is definitely my favorite part about working with insulation. I told you I wanted this done in a week, so as you can see we did prime the subfloor too because it was looking a little bit dark and it helps prevent future mold growth, just like the studs. I've also screwed in some of that old subfloor into the studs just to help re-support it. And I've already cut my top layer of subfloor and I'm laying this down now by putting some liquid nail glue first, and then I'll come back with some exterior galvanized screws. Now I'm putting on the back bracing so I could hook up my new faucet to this fresh piece of wood at the right depth that I want it. And as all my plumbing goes, I'm changing copper over to PEX, which requires me to sand off the old copper that was there, add some flux, and then install these copper to PEX brass fittings by soldering them on. This is a crimping tool specifically for PEX pipe, and all you do is just crimp down these little, I don't know, brass rings. I don't know what they're made out of, but it's that easy. And besides the flexibility of PEX and the expandability, meaning if the pipes freeze, it has a little bit more wiggle room to expand before bursting, hooking it up to other pipes and adapters and all that without having to get out your soldering and your torch and all that just makes it so much more convenient. So Tessa found the winning formula for removing wallpaper, and it is, there is no winning formula. Never install wallpaper. We'll never install it. Never. But this is now like the third or fourth time, and it's almost done after a couple days. If we were to pick a formula though, it's a mixture of water softener, beer, and really hot, almost boiling water. That'll help it melt the glue and all that fun stuff. While Tessa was working on that, I started messing with the floors in the hallway and noticed quite a bit more water damage sitting on top of this crumbly, brittle particle board or sawdust board, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure who decided this was a good idea. Maybe this is still in practice today, but to me it just looks like garbage, and you can see how easy it falls apart. To my right there, you can actually see real plywood, so you can see it holds up way better, or maybe that's a recent repair too. So after doing some research, bleach apparently isn't the best chemical for killing mold in porous surfaces. It's actually vinegar. So I'm gonna spray this on this part of the subfloor here, and that should remedy it. All right, I finished putting the rest of the subfloor down here and everything is smooth and secure. We're good to go. So it slants a little bit down towards the drain, just barely, which I'm fine with because then that just means the water goes down towards the drain. We'll see if that creates any problems when we install the surround here, but I think we're good. I'm just gonna go for it. Also, if you notice the piece of 2x4 that I put in the back on the studs there, this tub actually doesn't say anything about adding that, but just any bathtub I've ever installed or seen get installed has like a ledger board or something, I don't know what you would call it, along the back, and it just helps it where if there's too much weight on that side, it's not hovering, it actually has something to like hold on to. Like the front has this whole thing that can't make it go down, so why not the back? The studs are spaced really far apart behind the shower plumbing, so I'm building these little spacers here so the pipe can run through the middle of them, but then that way I can still fasten the tub surround to these. The trickiest part about this whole bathroom was actually figuring out how far to stick out the tub spout, but I figured it out and it worked out just fine. Now I'm hanging up some purple sheetrock that I painted. just kidding. It is actually mold resistant sheetrock. I think now they make them green, but this was purple, and there was actually a bunch of stock of damaged sheetrock panels for $1 for a 4x8 panel. And it's okay that I'm breaking all this up because I'm shiplapping one of these walls, so it doesn't matter if there's very many seams. Drywall is a funny thing. You put a ton of compound on and then you take it off. Then you do that again 2 more times. Then once it's all done, you sand it all off. And then you just paint over it, right? It's so strange. Less is best. I'm starting with drywall primer, which will really help the real paint bond to the drywall a lot better than just painting directly. And then Tessa went ahead and painted the rest of the walls off camera, and they turned out great. Now I'm installing a Cadet wall heater here, which Cadet was very kind in providing this for me. I will be creating a step-by-step install video, and I'll have it linked right up here in the corner once that does get published. It's mostly done, I just need some post edits, but this thing is actually really cool, and it hooked up directly to the thermostat I already had in the wall to turn it on and off, and so yeah. Now it's time to put in some of the furnishings like the vanity here and the toilet, and then we're gonna hang some of the shiplap, which we flew through since I was doing the installing and measuring and then giving it over to Tessa to do most of the cutting. It was such great teamwork on this. We killed it. And I'm not installing the wall heater yet until I know the exact depth of this wall, which will require the shiplap to be on there first.
You okay, baby? Yeah, you're okay. Don't do that to me.
With how crooked these walls are in this bathroom downstairs, I was able to hang the sheetrock above the flange around the entire surround, except for on this wall here. So you can see I've put some weather stripping here because the sheetrock is resting now on top of the flange. It's not going over it. So adding that weather stripping will just help if water ever gets over here. This is the opposite side of the shower head, so it'd be really hard for that to happen. But if it does happen, runs down the wall, runs on top of this, then I'm going to be putting shiplap on top of that, so it really has to go high. And then I'm going to frame this out with a piece of wood. Seeing this now will rest almost directly on top of the flange, or I should say over the flange. It will rest on top of it, right there. And if it's hard to tell the difference between this shiplap and the actual wall, that's good. We painted the wall the color we're painting the shiplap, so that way when you see in between my fake little cracks that I'm making in between it to give it that shiplap look, it'll all be consistent and look like one big piece of shiplap being tongue and grooved. And this is where I'm going to put the 1x3 or something like that on top, stain it. It's going to look good. You're going to see all this. Now I'm adding some crown molding just to make this bathroom look a little bit more elegant, and since this bathroom was so crooked and we're going from a wall that had wallpaper on there and wallpaper glue up to a ceiling that I skim coated, it's really hard to fix those imperfections, but this crown molding will hide that transition. Now I'm going to raise the light higher from where it originally was, and this will just make it where it shines more light into this small bathroom and gets it out of the way of where I want the mirror, because really that original hole is right where my face would be looking in the mirror. And really the last finishing touches is just putting up all the nail holes and all of the shiplap, all of the trim, all of the crown molding, really everywhere. And then it's just time to decorate and get on to showering. What's up guys, it's me from way in the future. I'm just shooting some of my outro videos. So while we didn't finish this bathroom in 1 week straight, it did only take a few full days of work to complete. So we still accomplished what we wanted in the time that we wanted. Then we exceeded our secondary goal of doing this all for less than $1,000 because this entire tub and tile kit here cost us about $170 to do. It was on clearance at Lowe's, plus they had a discount online that they price matched. It was ridiculous. This whole thing itself would have cost easily $400 plus. We got it for $175. And the vanity here, we got for $75, which included this faucet. And even though it's not a black faucet like we're doing with all the rest of our hardware in this entire house, I think it's very hard to tell that that's much different than everything else and doesn't sync up with the other bathrooms because this is its own unique bathroom. It actually looks really good. I guess Lowe's is doing a whole bathroom revamp thing, so they got rid of all of their vanities and stuff, and it just so happened this one came with a Delta faucet on it, so of course I grabbed that. So we're talking $250 for the most expensive products in this bathroom. I mean, that's insane. The rest of this cabin flip is really just made up of a bunch of small little tasks, little projects. So I'm not sure if I'll do a mixtape on the next video or what's to come on that, but it's just a hodgepodge of pretty cool projects, but it's too small to do like their own individual videos for. But we are so close to finished here. This is immaculate. Either way, the final walkthrough video is coming very soon. We are already listed on Airbnb and VRBO, so check us out down in the links below. Do us a huge favor and just add us to your wish list on those platforms. It helps us out so much with the SEO value. Why do we have Sharpie marks on the wall? As well as hitting that like button down below, subscribing to this channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.